So in 7.2, we're going to be looking at the sum and difference formulas for cosine, sine, and tangent. They explain a little bit where the cosine formulas come from. I'm not going to go through that. It's in the textbook. I'm just going to show you how to use the formulas. So what we're talking about is if you have a cosine and you have an angle plus another angle, there's a formula to figure that out. And it goes like this: cosine alpha, cosine beta. Now those are being multiplied together there, minus sine alpha, sine beta. So that's called the sum formula for cosine. So it's talking about taking the cosine of two angles that are added together, and you can split it up into this formula. And I'm going to show you how to use the formula. Then the other one is a difference formula. It says if you have cosine alpha minus beta equals cosine alpha cosine beta plus sine alpha sine beta. Now, I don't expect you to memorize these formulas. They're kind of long. We're to the point now where we've got some of our basic identities that we know and we work with. But some of these other identities, they're kind of long. You might remember them. I remember this by thinking cosine. Okay, it's cosine, cosine, sine, sine, and then it's the opposite sign. So when it's plus here, it's minus here. And when it's minus here, it's plus over here. So, but I've worked with some trig for many years. Anyway, so it might be, easier for me to remember it. But you'll have a sheet that will have the formulas so that you can use those. But it's enough of process in actually using the formulas. And that's what I'm interested in you being able to do. Okay, so enough on that. So using the formula for the cosine of the difference of two angles. Okay, so we're going to use that bottom one. I'll scroll up a little bit there. Find the exact value. Okay, now that's really important that you understand that, because you could say, well, I'll just put this in my calculator and get an answer. But we want the exact value, and so we need to be able to do that. Okay, so it says cosine 5 pi over 4 minus pi over 6. My 5 pi over 4, that's going to be my alpha, and my pi over 6 is going to be my beta. All right, so then this is going to turn into, so I'm going to be following this formula right here. Cosine, my alpha is 5 pi over 4. Cosine pi over 6, that's my beta, plus sine alpha, which is 5 pi over 4, sine beta, which is pi over 6. Okay? Now we know something about 5 pi over 4 and pi over 6. They're both special angles. So I might want to take a minute to think a little bit about 5 pi over 4. 5 pi over 4, okay, here's 4 pi, right? 4 pi over 4. Because I know we're still learning this, 5 pi over 4 then is going to be in that third quadrant. So that's 5 pi over 4. Now why is that important to me? Well, I have to know if cosine's positive or negative. So cosine is negative in the third quadrant. So I'm going to have a negative number here. And it's a special angle, right? The reference angle here is pi over 4. Or if you want to think 45 degrees. Well, what's the cosine of a 45 degree angle? Square root of 2 over 2. So we get that. Now that's a value. The cosine of 5 pi over 4 is negative square root 2 over 2. You could get that from your unit circle. You could get it from a chart, but that's what it is. Okay, I think I'll put that in parentheses. All right, now we need the cosine of pi over 6. Well, that's a 30 degree angle, right? If you want to think in terms of degrees, it's in the first quadrant. It's going to be positive. Cosine of pi over 6, let me think about it for a minute. I'm thinking it's the square root of 3 over 2. All right, hopefully that's what you were thinking too. Okay. You know how I remember that one? I remember the sine of pi over 6 is 1/2, so cosine has to be the other one. Okay. Plus, and now we're going to do a little more work. What's the sine of 5 pi over 4? Well, that's also, it's going to be negative because it's in the fourth quadrant. So sine's negative there, or third quadrant. It's negative in the third quadrant. So negative square root 2 over 2 same reference angle. And then the sine of pi over 6, we just said was 1/2. Okay. So that's the values then. Those are exact values. That's what we're looking for. We just need to simplify it a little bit. So we're a little algebra here. Minus the square root of 6, because 2 times 3, we can do that, over 4 plus, well, I guess I should make it minus, but I'll do it on the next line. Minus the square root of 2 over 4. And then we would combine those. They do have common denominators. It doesn't really matter to me which way you write it. I would write it like this, just in the order that they gave it to me. And I would say that's it. That is an exact value. Now, I can get a decimal approximation by putting it in my calculator, but I don't want that. I want the exact value. Okay, so that's what we're looking at doing. I think they're kind of fun. The formulas are a little long, but we're going to have those to use. Okay?